Good evening, everyone. My name is Lucia, and I want to welcome you this evening to the Wednesday evening program. And I am just finishing 2 weeks of teaching here. And last week was heartbeat work, which is the 5 rhythms moving meditation practice, working with the emotional components of life. So we're working with fear and how that moves in the body, and courage. We're working with anger and forgiveness and how that moves through the body. We're working with sadness and surrendering and emptying that sadness. And we're working with joy and generosity and how that moves through the body. And from joy and generosity, we're moved into compassion and connection. And it was a very, very powerful week, very emptying week. Amazing group of people that came together last week. And this week, we have gathered together with a different group, a smaller group, a much more focused group. And this week, we're working only on grief. So really, I come to you so raw from a whole day of sitting in witness and dancing and movement with a tremendous authenticity that comes out of just that real, raw, just absolute vulnerability of the truth. And in so many ways, that's what Gabrielle's work is about. So the 5 Rhythms was born right here on this land by Gabriel Roth. And she came into this body of work in the early 60s, and she was developing a whole modality in which to understand human experience through movement. And she saw through all the different therapies that were going on here that it wasn't enough to just sit and talk about an experience. That we need to intellectually understand our experience of life, our past and our history. But we also need to be able to address the spiritual nature of our experience. And so much of that happens through the dance itself, through the movement, the primary energies themselves. And she said, and there's this emotional part of us which also needs to be moved and addressed. So we have then even a 4th quality, which is the physical. So we have intellectual, physical, spiritual, and emotional. And all of those things are provided here at Esalen. And it's quite amazing to come here and just dip in. A lot of people that are here as work study students and as extended students are coming not just to experience one part of Esalen, but to experience all that Esalen has to offer. In the fullness of healing, it has to happen on all the different levels. So you may be here addressing different parts of that in your own experience. But all of that is happening. So Gabrielle came and she saw there's this whole cathartic dance which can happen through movement. And so she spent her whole life mapping out that experience. And I was born into this lineage. I was born here at Esalen in the little house right next door here, the Jade House. And I live in Hawaii now. But I return here about 4 times a year to offer my teachings and to share my family's work with you. So as you come into this room and into this space, into this dance tonight, know that you're entering into the lineage, you're entering into the land where this work began. And also the room where Gabrielle danced her last dance before she died. So when I come here, this is a coming home for me. This is a very real, I've danced all of the most important things in my life right here on this land, on this place. So I offer you from my heart and from whatever I have left tonight to give you and to share with you. So I wanted to just kind of have a little warm up and then have us kind of drop right in. But before we do that, I want to tell you what this is. And another aspect of my work incorporates the Buddha Dharma, which is the teachings of the Buddha, and very old lineage, which goes back much further than her own lineage, another 2,500 years. Because one of the things that my colleagues and I realized was that it wasn't enough just to dance. And through my own healing process, I realized, all this dance is really fucking awesome. But there was a point where I felt like I actually needed to learn to not do something with it, with all that I was feeling. I needed to learn how to be still with what I was feeling. And so a whole other journey began in my own life, which has informed my work now. And as you go, you may check out some of my information over here, and also a book that I've just contributed to called Dancing with the Dharma. And it really is a process of incorporating what is. As we are a culture so much that lives and focuses on a life which is above the shoulders, so to speak. A reality which is focused on the mind and the thoughts of the mind and believing all that we think and all that we feel. And as we saw, it wasn't enough to just dance. We also, many of my colleagues from Against the Stream Meditation Society, Jack and Spirit Rock, Ajahn Chah, all the way back, and we realized, oh yeah, also maybe it's not just enough to just sit. Maybe in order to have that full, whole healing, we have to move and we have to sit, because that's life, right? We're always in between, somewhere in between. And the Buddha himself even said that. He said meditation should be practiced standing, sitting, laying down, and in all bodily functions. So then we see each and every moment becomes an opportunity to awaken to the present. And through Gabrielle's work of the embodiment practice through movement and through the Buddha Dharma, we see also an embodiment practice through stillness. So we learn to dance and be still with all that life has to give us, and come out of the contortions of the ego mind and really start to settle in to a different quality of mind. It's a very kind of 60s type of idea which says, get out of your head, just get out of your heads, get away from your thoughts. But the truth is, that's almost impossible. Thoughts are a function, like thoughts happen, like hearing happens, if you're lucky, like seeing happens, if you're lucky, like feeling happens, if you're lucky. Thoughts are a function, but through the movement and through the practice of embodiment, one learns to come out of the chattering, criticizing, annoying mind and come into a different quality of mind, to transform the mind itself from that chattering, ego, judgmental place and into a mind of awareness, one rooted in the physical body, which calls us on this sacred journey out of the past and out of the future and into the present, to just simply attend to what is being experienced through hearing, through seeing, through feeling, through smelling, through all the senses that call us right here. Like, this is it. This is all we get. Please come in, join us. So that is a relief, right? It's a relief to come out of all that incessant mind, weight, and contortion and start to come into something which is more liberated. So if we can liberate the body itself from all the sedentary, shut down, held on type of reality that so many of us are conditioned to live in, and learn how to move out of that control and start to move in to motion. We can free the mind to transform its quality. We learn how to free the feet, to liberate the arms, the head, the spine, the hips, the hands, the knees, the elbows, that all of this body, this mind, right here, is a key to liberating us. Maybe you don't believe in enlightenment. Maybe you don't believe in awakening. And that's fine. I didn't come here believing in that either. I came here saying, please God, help me from the suffering. Help me free myself from the pain of my heart, from the fear that's holding me back, from the anger that's tensing me up. Let me find forgiveness. Let me find acceptance. And so we say, if I can find it in the body, then maybe, just maybe, the heart-mind can follow. Maybe, just maybe, if I can pay attention and learn to sustain present time awareness, I can be free of all the burdens that have held me down, held me back. Empty the sorrows so that I can open to joy, to compassion, to connection, to loving and being loved. And so what else are we here for but that? We're humans learning to be agile creatures of life, athletes of the heart. And if we can learn how to dance, it gets so much better. It gets so much easier. And it's still fucking hard. So all of that is built on this foundation of what we call the 5 rhythms. And the rhythms begin to teach us about the states of being in life. Because there's a billion rhythms in life, and we know that. And life and mind complicates things in all kinds of ways. So what Gabrielle saw was she said, hey, let's just break it down for a minute. Let's break it all the way down to simple, to clear. And she said, hey, sometimes life asks you to be fluid. The breath even itself tells us, inhale, receive. And know and recognize your fluid nature. And so there is that dance. The Creator says sometimes you gotta change the plan. Sometimes you gotta get out of the way. Learn how to let go. Find your own power and release your own strength in the world. Learn how to receive, fill up, nurture, and gather your strength. Because there will come a time when life asks you not only to fill up and take in, but also to let go, to give out, to free your body. And she said that's called staccato. The letting go part of us. The connecting part of us. The heart and the hips part of us. It says reach out. Draw boundaries with heart, with clarity, because we need to know how to do that sometimes. Make things a little less complex. Just be that state. Don't talk about it. Be it. And she said, oh, and yet there's another state. And that state is born when we weave together the feminine, or the yin rather. I like to call it the yin. Because we all have this going on. Nothing to do with gender. The yin, the inside, receiving, with the outside, the letting go. And you start to bring those two energies together, back and forth, and something happens. And she said, yeah, bring those together. What happens? Chaos happens. Life happens. Something bigger than you happens. And all you can do is surrender and let go. Because it is moving you like grief moves you. Like life moves you. And we have to learn how to dance that dance. How to let go to that state of being. And say, this chaos is sacred too. This surrendering is sacred too. And it doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to what is. Stopping the fight and give in. Give in. And when we do that, what happens is so interesting. that breaking open, it sets us free and it rearranges everything. It becomes spontaneous. It allows for this to crack open and change us. And that result, that change, that lightening, that opening is another state, which she called lyrical. And she said, hey, don't space out. Don't go away. Right now, right here, feel and stay present with that is changing, shape-shifting, being born from those energies, because this life is about change. And that's it. We're gonna change and keep changing until the day we let everything go, including our own bodies. This is an impermanent situation, so let's get real with it. Let's learn how to dance the impermanence, how to surrender to that truth and be in lyrical. Get comfortable with the change. And what happens when we do that and we can stay present instead of trying to fix everything with plastic smiles and plastic surgeries and pretending to be ages we're not, just fucking own it. Yeah. I'm 39 years old and I'm about to turn 40. I just said that publicly. So there we are then, and we're delivering it even with all the resistance. And we go, and yet life asks us yet again to be with something else. From lyrical into this fifth rhythm, which we call stillness. And it's not where everything ends. It's not where you give up and lay down on the floor and call it good. Because life asks us, be in the dance of stillness. Make friends with the space between the beats. Learn how to dance your goodbyes, your endings, to let go, to be and rest in the change of all those shifts, because life is going to ask you to slow down, inevitably. And it's going to ask you also to lay and rest and be by the bed of dying people who you love. And that's a state. To listen or be with an experience when it's ended, especially sweet ones, and not just sweet ones, but the hard ones too. And if we can learn how to do that, grace can come into our life. Appreciation can come into our life to say, hey, this dance is ending. This dance is ending. So let me give thanks to say, whatever time I've got here, let me practice it. For one day, all of it's going to end. May the only thing left is the love and the continuation of the Great Spirit inside. But I am certainly not this body. So we come to the end of a cycle, or what we call a wave of energy. What happens if you say, but I don't do stillness? I don't say goodbyes. I don't do endings. You might find yourself in a little trouble. What if you say, I don't do boundaries, I don't do clarity? Or you say, I'm being clear. There's nothing clear about that. So this is about truth. It's about learning how to be a flexible athlete of life, to understand and dance through these states, because this is not about just a pretty dance. It's not about the performance, it's about the presence. So that we can learn how to live life and be present for all that it asks of us. This is not a free dance. This is structure, this is discipline. And she said it takes discipline to be a free spirit. So you want to be free, get real with it. And that's the difference between 5 rhythms and a lot of other things that were born from it, all of which were incredibly beautiful. Over 100 different forms of conscious dance have been born from conscious dance practices, which have been born from Gabrielle Roth's work. She was the grandmother. So I say her name with deep respect in this room and in this place, as all kinds of people sprout up all kinds of ideas. Let us remember, they don't just come from us, they come from the lineage. And that's what gives them power. Okay, so tonight we're just going to practice and we'll have some fun. See if you can get curious about your own cathedral of bones, as she liked to say, the begging bowl of spirit. Get out of your own way, see what you can free and liberate and connect with. I know I started talking about all the emotions and the kind of the heaviness and the beauty of it, but there's so much. It's all of life. And tonight, I'm just here to have a good time with you guys. I've been heavy all for 2 days. But it's, you know, it's beautiful, it's sacred, and I have great respect for it. So, take a deep breath. Let it go. All right, turn to a friend and help them up, please. Your new buddy.